Why was the broom late to the party?
I don't know why.
He overslept.
It's time for the Children's Hour, Kids Public Radio.
Squash Blossom Boys right here on the Children's Hour. And hello, you're listening to the Children's Hour. We're Kids Public Radio, and we are broadcasting live today from the Special Collections Library. Got a sweet little audience, got a great crew. Hi, crew. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Let's figure out who's here. We'll start over here with you, Evan. Hi.
Hi, it's Evan. Cock-a-doodle-doo, it's Maya Lou.
Hello, it's Amadeus.
Hi, it's Ava.
Hi, it's Daniel.
Hello, it's Zen.
Hi, it's Lucas.
Happy day, it's Maya.
And we have another little person here. Hello, nice to have you on our crew today. Hello. Well, everyone, this is a pretty exciting show. We're going to be talking with a woman here in New Mexico who's legendary for her architectural work and design and her professorial skills at the University of New Mexico. Her name is Edie Cherry, and she's got a lot of fans who are in the room and who have come here to see her speak. We're going to learn about something called architecture. If I were to ask anyone on my crew to define architecture, yeah, Eli, come right up to a mic. How would you define architecture?
Architecture is basically planning out the structure of buildings.
Ah, the structure of building. Anybody else? Thoughts on architecture? I sometimes think of architecture as different styles of buildings. Like it is both the process of planning, like you said, Eli, and also I think it refers to the style of buildings. And if you look around in this building right now, describe it for me, Maya or Zen, somebody over there, describe it for me. What are you seeing in this building?
Well, we're in a little room which has some windows over in front of us.
That's a building.
Yeah, it's a building. And the windows are really pretty. And then over to the side of the windows, there's a really red bookshelf, which has many shelves. And it's a very large bookshelf, and it spans the whole entire wall. And it has many old books, which is very cool.
It is a library.
It is a library. I mean, come on. And then to the side of that, there's like a little oven place, which is not an oven because it's a fireplace.
So you're really describing what you're seeing from the inside of this building, and that
Yeah.
is really describing sort of how a space feels on the inside. And I wonder if anyone, as they were coming into this building, noticed anything. Yeah, Daniel.
I noticed that the building looked like Adobe, but I know it's not actually Adobe, it's something else, but it's made to actually look like it. There's some wooden pillars that are coming out of the side of the building, and out in front, there's like a little area where there's like this thing where it covers the sun, so you can sit down out there. And
It's like a courtyard,
Yeah,
sort of out in the
a
front.
sort of little courtyard, and there's a lot of wooden logs that go across the roof, and then on top of that there are wooden slabs to help block out sunlight.
Yeah. If you were to look at this building, would you say that this building looks New Mexico?
Yes, it does look New Mexican.
Why? What makes this building look New Mexico, do you think? Anybody can come pitch in on this one. What? Yeah, go ahead, Eli.
My guess is it looks like Adobe.
Yeah, adobe building, which for those of you not in New Mexico, adobe is a type of building block. It's a mud brick. And a lot of our homes here and buildings are made with mud bricks. It's a traditional way to build here. We're going to find out a lot more about architecture with Edie Cherry. And we're going to find out more about this incredible building and the history of this building also on the show. And we're just so happy you're all here. Thank you for being here. I want to take a special moment to shout out our band. We have the Squash Blossom Boys live with us. You can give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
And can you introduce your band, Kyle?
Yeah, sure. My name's Kyle Malone. I play guitar. We got Josh English on drums, Kip Murray on banjo, Dustin Oberson on mandolin and vocals, Sarah Farrell on guitar and vocals, and we got Peter Lissinoli on bass.
Well, will you play us another song?
Absolutely.
All right, take it away. This is the Squash Blossom Boys, live on the Children's Hour, broadcasting live from the Special Collections Library. You can join us. Thanks, guys.
more than anyone ever tried or ever could. Oh my God, city trucks alive.
Squash Blossom Boys. Right here on the Children's Hour, we are broadcasting from the Special Collections Library, which is Albuquerque's oldest library branch, and you feel that history as you stand in this room. With us today is the branch manager, Kathy Siegel. Please give a warm welcome to Kathy Siegel.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Kathy, can you tell us what is the story behind this library? It is beautiful.
It's a gorgeous building. We are the oldest branch in Albuquerque. This was the main library until 1975 when the new main library was opened, so it's been here. This particular building has been here since 1925. There was a library on this space before that, and this building was donated to the city of, well, the space was donated to the city of Albuquerque as long as there'll always be a library here. So we're very fortunate. We will always get to be a library. And we are special now because we have our special collections, which is a History of New Mexico collection.
What it would be in a History of New Mexico collection? What would be considered special?
We have old books, maybe, that are about New Mexico. We have other research materials, perhaps newer, that are about New Mexico, specifically Albuquerque also. We have property books that tell where different lots were, where people's houses were, and where they were, when they were built, etc. We have a lot of people who like to come here to search their house history. We have city directories that tell who lived in Albuquerque. I think our oldest one is about 1898. So you can look through it and see who lived and where they lived in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque was founded, in the 1700s, I want to say. You're nodding, like you know.
1706.
Thank you.
Am I right?
Yeah, she's looking at the historians in the audience. And so that's a lot of history that goes into one city.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have anything that dates back to our earliest days in Albuquerque?
Not that old. No, we don't. You'd find at some other libraries in the state. But we have materials that are back to the late 1800s, probably.
I'm looking around this room, and I'm looking out the door of this room into this room that's adjacent to us, and there's all these, what are those? Are those printing presses?
Those are printing presses. When the main library opened up, this space that we're in and the space next door was designed to be the center for the book. So we have examples of printing presses there. We invite school groups to come on field trips and use the presses. They get to demonstrate a press and can actually print something on them. We have in this room a history of the written word, basically. So we have a lovely mural behind us on the wall that shows the history of the written word. And our books that are on the shelves in here are old. The oldest one here is from 1548.
Whoa.
So they are not part of our History of New Mexico collection. They are just examples of early printing of books.
Yeah, they're really old. And when
Yes.
we came to look at this library to see if we could broadcast here, and I said, well, there's going to be a bunch of kids, and you have all these ancient books, and you said, That's okay.
Yeah, we bring school groups in here. The kids can take the books off the shelf and look at them. They are not unique copies of these books, so they can be handled. We don't make you wear white gloves or anything.
Well, Kathy, you've done an amazing job with this library. Thank you so much for being
You're
with us on
welcome.
the Children's Hour and explaining. Before we get any further, we're talking about architecture today.
Yes.
This building, it looks like a famous architect named John Gaumeme,
No.
but it's not his.
It does look like that.
But
yes,
it's not his.
It's not his.
Tell us
No.
who designed this building.
There's a little bit of discussion about that. It's credited to a man named Arthur Rossiter, and inside the design is Gustav Baumann, who's a famous artist from New Mexico, or in New Mexico. So, but also the city engineer's office drew up the plans for this building back in 1925.
Well, it is really beautiful. Thank you for letting us be here at your library. You have been so generous to let us just bring our whole crew here and a giant band and all these people in the audience. So thank you very much, Kathy,
You're
for being
welcome.
with us on the Children's Hour. We have more Squash Blossom Boys.
Driving down Central now for the second time. I think I might just turn around and get back in line. A friend of mine honks his horn and a wave, how are you? His car starts jumping up and down, well now ain't that cool? Rail driving in circles, that's what I love to do. Hit the gas, burning fast, just see the view. Round and round, back again every night, yes, it's true. I drive in circles all the time just to get a glimpse of you. When the brakes down at the red light, it makes me feel at home. Idling down 66 is where I belong. My heat on and the windows down, my bass it really booms. I play my music really loud just in case you hear it too. Driving in circles, that's what I love to do. Hit the gas, burning fast, just see the view. Round and round, back again every night, yes, it's true. I drive in circles all the time just to get a glimpse of you. Sitting stuck in traffic, well, what a dream come true. Walking drunk and brawls in front of bars after 2. Stuck a 9 at the roundabout, and I hope to meet you soon. Till then, I'll drive in circles just to catch a glimpse of you. Driving in circles, that's what I love to do. Hit the gas, burning fast, just see the view. Round and round, back again every night, yes, it's true. I drive in circles all the time just to get a glimpse of you. Well, driving in circles, that's what I love to do. Hit the gas, burning fast, just see the view. Round and round and back again every night, yes, it's true. I drive in circles all the time just to get a glimpse of you. Well, I drive in circles all the time just to get a glimpse of you.
Squash Blossom Boys live on the Children's Hour. The Children's Hour is produced by the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit dedicated to producing high-quality kids public radio. Support is provided by listeners just like you. Find out more at childrenshour.org.
Support provided by Electric Playhouse, an all-ages playhouse filled with food and family entertainment. Electric Playhouse encourages healthy, active play using technology to bring people together.
The first playhouse is now open in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
More at electricplayhouse.com.
You're listening to the Children's Hour. Kids Public Radio. We'll be right back.
Children's Hour is produced by the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit dedicated to producing high-quality kids public radio. Support is provided by listeners just like you. Find out more at childrenshour.org.
Support provided by Electric Playhouse, an all-ages playhouse filled with food and family entertainment. Electric Playhouse encourages healthy, active play using technology to bring people together.
The first playhouse is now open in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
More at electricplayhouse.com.
You're tuned to the Children's Hour. We are broadcasting live from the Special Collections Library here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is one of the most beautiful buildings in Albuquerque, in my personal opinion. It is a city building. It's a dedicated library for ancient things, and we just think it's a perfect example of New Mexico and Southwestern architecture. And that said, I cannot wait to introduce our next guest. Our next guest was educated at Rice University, and she worked for years teaching at the University of New Mexico, teaching architecture. I think there's some students of hers here in the audience. Give a shout out if you were a student of Edie Cherry. Her name is Edie Cherry. She is now part of the firm Cherry C Architects. And she wrote a book called Programming for Design. She's done a lot of things. She taught at the University of New Mexico until 2000, and then she joined her firm until 2014. And she's semi-retired now, but she came out of retirement to talk to us on the Children's Hour. Edie Cherry, I am so happy you're on the show with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. It's a lot of fun.
Well, we're going to start right away with the very, very first question, which is sort of the most obvious question. Yeah, Amadeus is at his mic.
What is architecture?
Okay, that's actually a tough question, but I think you've already started to answer it. Because Eli said, well, it's about structures, and Katie said, well, it's about styles. And actually, architecture is about both of those things. It's one of the few fields that relies on science for the structural part and relies on art for the style part. So children and adults that are interested in science and art would find a nice home in architecture.
With architecture, you could put it into three basic words: art, tech, and structure.
Yeah, I think so. The tech part certainly buildings are a lot more technologically complicated today than they were when architecture started, in 4000 BC or something. Actually, I believe architecture started whenever the first cave person made their cave a little bit better than it was. I think that's when architecture started.
What type of buildings can you make?
Well, architects all over the world make all kinds of buildings. Any building you see is designed by some kind of architect. Maybe they have a license, and different cultures have different ways of acknowledging architecture. But I think anybody that builds anything and decides it looks like this instead of that is sort of an architect.
Did people always have to have a professional architect to build buildings, or I live in a house that I don't think had an architect that built it? Or does that sometimes just not happen and people just kind of wing it?
Well, yeah, certainly humans winged it for millennia. So, yeah, it can work that way. The answer to your question depends on the state where you live and the laws about it. There's actually a law in New Mexico that in order to build certain kinds of buildings, especially those that involve the public use, have to have a licensed architect. And that's for the safety of the public. But homes and I think up to 2 or 3 suite duplexes don't have to have a licensed architect.
How do you know if a place is safe to build a building?
Well, architects rely on a lot of different things: their own experience, their training, and they often collaborate with engineers. We always collaborated in our firm with the structural engineers because they have to know a lot more details about engineering. My students used to say, well, why do I have to take structures classes? I'm just going to hire an engineer. And I'd say, you got to know enough about structure to know if you've got a problem, and then you need to know your engineer's phone number.
Yeah. Well, we do hear about buildings, things like sinkholes and stuff, where people build a building and then all of a sudden the ground underneath does bad things.
That's a bad situation.
Is that an architect's job to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, it depends on the architect's contract, of course, but usually for buildings that most architects design, they hire a geotechnical person. That's part of the tech piece. And they come and they drill a hole, or more than one hole, and they take what's in that hole and take it to a lab and test it to see what it will hold up. But of course, that's a fairly recent, compared to the span of architecture, that's a fairly recent requirement. So there are buildings in New Mexico that have been built on places before geotech testing was required.
Well, I know Evan has a question. Yeah, Evan.
Have you ever built a house underground?
Underground? Well, our own house has a basement, sort of.
Basements are kind of rare
underground.
here.
There are some houses that have been built underground or partially underground. I know there's one in near Santa Fe that's partially underground, and then it has a south-facing window, and it's almost completely independent of any kind of heating, artificial heating.
Oh, because it's underground. You know, Edie Cherry, one of the things that you are known for is in the 1970s, as early as in the 1970s when you were working at the University of New Mexico, is really urging architects, the people who design buildings, to think about sustainability or making a building green so you don't need a lot of extra heat, that it holds its own heat. Or can you talk a little bit about that, your theory and philosophy, and what does that mean, green building?
Green buildings. Well, of course, green buildings mean a lot of different things to different people. There's even something called greenwashing, where people say they're green and they're really just pretending. But I think back in the 70s, there was a big oil crisis, and gasoline prices went way up. And that kicked off a big effort to make all kinds of buildings more sustainable. And my husband and I, he was my business partner too, we built a house back then ourselves, which had a lot of mistakes because it was our first house. But we tried to do a passive solar house, and we still have it, but it's evolved through the years as the technology changed.
What's passive solar?
That's where you build a house with a lot of south-facing glass. You may not have ever noticed, a lot of people don't, that the sun changes position as the year passes. Or actually, the Earth changes position. The sun stays the same place. But so we get, in the wintertime, we get a lot of south sun. So if you put glass on the south side and you protect it for the way the sun behaves in March and September, you can heat your house with solar heat.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, Zen, you have a question.
Are there any boundaries to architecture, like making a box? Is that counting as architecture?
That's a very good question, and it's almost based in culture, I think, because you're talking about design. We can design a nice, beautiful, simple box and get famous for it if you're Donald Judd and you build it down in Marfa or someplace. Or you can build something very elaborate. And I think what's going on there is inside your mind, you're making choices. How is it going to look? How big is it going to be? What's it going to be made out of? And those are all design choices. So I'd say, yeah, it's a little bit architecture. I think if you build a dollhouse or a shed, it's a little bit architecture because you're making choices.
We're speaking with Edie Cherry. She's Professor Emerita from the University of New Mexico School of Architecture. She's an architect in her own right. We're going to come back to you, Edie, in just a minute. You are tuned to the Children's Hour.
Texas to my Louisiana home.
Children's Hour is produced by the Children's Hour Incorporated, a nonprofit dedicated to producing high-quality kids public radio. You can find out more at childrenshour.org.
Meow Wolf is a proud supporter of the Children's Hour. Meow Wolf creates immersive experiences that transport audiences of all ages into kaleidoscopic realms of story and exploration. meowwolf.com.
You're listening to the Children's Hour, Kids Public Radio. We'll be right back.
Squash Blossom Boys. We're live at the Special Collections Library here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's the oldest library branch in our city. It's beautiful. It's built in what's called the style of Pueblo Revival. Am I right? We're interviewing Edie Cherry, architect legend here in New Mexico.
Yeah, Spanish Pueblo Revival is what that style is called. And this is sort of a subset of that, a mission revival. As you leave this morning, be sure you look at the front of this part of the building because it has 2 towers and it has a bell and it looks a lot like a mission. And that was one of the subsets of the Spanish Pueblo Revival style.
We have a lot of questions for you, Edie Cherry.
Okay.
How do you build a house that kids feel comfortable in?
That kids feel comfortable in? That's a very good question. It's a matter of scale. Now, do you know what scale means?
Yes.
It means that it's something the size of the occupants. So, for example, let's take these windows over here. These windows are really designed for adults because adults can see out of them quite easily when they're standing up.
So the windows, just to describe for our listening audience, they don't start until about 4 feet high, and then they go all the way to this super tall ceiling.
Yeah.
So that's not a very kid-friendly window, is it?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it could be, and kids can, of course, peek over. But I went into a school one time, and I thought, wow, this school is really for kids. And I realized that the windows were centered around a kid's eye, high and low. So the kid was looking out the middle of the window, whereas here adults are looking at the middle of this big window. So just lowering the sill of the windows would make it a lot more kid-friendly.
Lots more questions from our kids crew, and Daniel's coming up to the mic.
How do you plan out a building? Like, what do you do to do it?
Okay. Well, I think it starts with talking to the people that are going to use the building. And Katie mentioned I'd written a textbook, and that's what it was about, was talking to people before you design something to see what they need, what do they want to do, what are their aspirations, what do they want the building to accomplish in their lives. So that's where it starts, and we call that architectural programming. Then once that's done, you design the building.
Okay, yeah. We got a bunch of questions. Zen?
What kind of things do you have to do to become an architect? What kind of hoops do you have to go through, basically?
Okay. Well, most states have license requirements. Not all require a college degree in architecture, but most do. The University of New Mexico has an architecture program, and the state of New Mexico requires a master's degree in architecture, which is really a very broad education. You take history, you take art classes, you take structures classes. It's a very broad education.
Have you ever built a Minecraft-themed house?
A what kind of house?
Yeah, exactly. This is the generation divide right here on the Children's Hour. Evan, you're going to have to explain what Minecraft is for Edie.
Sorry, I don't know
She
what
doesn't know what
Minecraft
Minecraft is.
Yeah.
It's a video game, building video game, where you can build a whole world. I guess the answer is no, you haven't.
Oh.
Yeah.
You get to pretend you're an architect, basically, yeah.
Any other questions here? Yes, yes, Eli.
Well, the answer to his
Yes,
question
please.
is no.
No,
I've never
okay, okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Could you name a few buildings that you have designed?
Sure. Some of you may know Longfellow School. It's right down the street here. That was one of the first projects our office designed. We renovated Coronado School, which is an old building. We did Tomasita School. We designed Erna Ferguson Library. Some of you may know where that is.
So all of these buildings you're describing in Albuquerque, do they share that you've built? Do you feel you have a certain style? And do architects have a certain style that's really their own?
Well, it varies. There's architects that feel like the building needs to be designed for that particular client and that particular site. There's other architects that have a signature style, we would call it. I think in our case, our firm falls into that first category, that we're looking at the specific site, the specific function, and the people that are going to use it.
What do you think is the more sturdy material to build a building, adobe or wood?
Well, a lot depends on how it's put together, because you could build out of either one and it could still fall down. So a lot depends on the people that are building it, the contractors who are very good, I hope, and I don't think I'd divide it up as either one of those is better than the other. It's just how they're used.
Why do so many homes and buildings in Albuquerque and New Mexico have flat roofs?
Well, it came from the earliest architecture in New Mexico, which was Chaco Canyon and the Pueblos. The Pueblo buildings all had flat roofs because they used the roofs. And it's hard to do activities on a sloping roof. But they also knew that they had to protect for the rain, and they knew how to build for that. But I think that's what started it, was just the origins of architecture in New Mexico.
Is that unusual, Edie, worldwide, having flat roofs?
Well, any place, any culture that uses their roof, yeah.
So it's common if you use your roof?
Yeah.
You hang out on your roof?
Like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, it's hot inside. They sleep on the roofs.
I've always thought that flat roofs versus sloped roofs was based on whether or not you had snow. I came from a snowy place, and a sloped roof, the snow will, in theory, fall off.
Yeah.
But is that no?
No, I think that's a very good point. And if you go into any kind of chillier climates, you don't see that many flat roofs. And certainly New Mexico isn't we do have snow, but anything north of here, you're starting to look at more sloped roofs for sure.
Edie, how would you inspire young people to become architects?
Well, I think that any young person that's interested in art and science that likes to make things, if you like to make things, you probably make a really good architect, because you get to figure out what's it going to look like. How am I going to put it together? What's it made out of? All those things, whether you're doing with model airplanes or buildings.
What are the steps to making a house?
Well, you would first talk to the people that are going to live in it. And once you do that, you'd get information about the site where they're going to put it. You got to know something about that. Where's the street? And then you would sit down and start to do some sketches. Or if you use a computer, you'd start to sketch on the computer. And then you'd go through the steps to develop the floor plans and the way it looks.
I want to thank Edie Cherry for being with us on the Children's Hour. Please give her a really big round of applause. Thank you,
Thank you,
Edie.
Katie.
Thank you so much. Squash Blossom Boys, right here on the Children's Hour. We're broadcasting from the Special Collections Library. And I'm so happy to have with us up here at our microphone, Debbie Hassey. Welcome back to the Children's Hour. I think you've been on before.
I have, and I'm very happy to be back.
So glad you're here. You know, the city of Albuquerque and the county of Bernalillo partner together to make our library branches.
They do. They do. We have branches all over Albuquerque and Bernalillo County working in concert to bring library services, public library services, to all the residents in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County.
I love it. And there's something that this county library system, city library system is doing right now, and why I wanted you to come on the show, Debbie, which is, maybe you don't know this, but there's a huge effort to get kids into libraries. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, indeed, I can. This is a very special partnership that the public library in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County have with Albuquerque Public Schools. It's a special initiative that we've undertaken to get every single third grader in Albuquerque Public Schools their very own public library card.
Wow, that's so neat. And so by doing that, you're actually issuing the library cards at schools?
Yes,
and that's takes away, I just want to say what a brilliant plan this is, because as a parent, you know your child should probably have their own library card, but sometimes you just can't get over there to make it happen.
Yes.
And sometimes it seems like, oh, what is that going to take?
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions out there with the public library that we are still coming across now and then. One of the ones I heard recently was a child came to the public library and said, I can't go to the public library because my family doesn't have a lot of money. And that is not true at all. Everyone can use the public library, whether they have a lot of money or not a lot of money at all. So we welcome everybody. And so getting public library cards into the hands of these kids is a great way to start that process, not just for third graders, but for the entire family as well.
I love that. Some of the things that are at libraries these days are not even books.
Right.
You have seeds.
Yes.
Who knew?
We have seeds.
You have baking pans.
We have specialized baking pans. So if you're having a special birthday party that you want to get that special baking pan, but you don't want to drop $20 to use it once, you can come to the public library, check it out, use it, clean it, please, and then bring it back.
I love that. Debbie Hassey, Albuquerque, I don't even know what your title is. You've come on so many times.
I'm the Youth Services Manager for the Public Library System.
Thank you so much for being with us on the Children's Hour. You're listening to the Children's Hour, broadcasting live from the Special Collections Library. This is the Squash Blossom Boys. You're listening to the Children's Hour. The Squash Blossom Boys are here. One's a girl, but that's okay. We still call them Squash Blossom Boys. They're going to play a little something for us. You're live at the Special Collections Library here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
When I was born in the mountains many years ago, I've trod these hills and valleys through the rain and snow. I've seen the lightning flashing, I've heard the thunder roll. I've been done, how long was wonder? As they put in the summer on into the fall, too many miles to me that couldn't go this all. We sent to church on Sunday to learn the golden rule. I've been done, how long was wonder? When I've worked for the rich and I've lived with the poor, I've seen many heartache and I've seen many more. I've lived love and sorrow, been to success's door. I've been done, how long was wonder? That moon in the mountains many years ago, I've trod these hills and valleys through the rain and snow. I've seen the lightning flashing, I've heard the thunder roll. I've been done, how long was wonder?
I live out in the country where things are kind of slow. Well, I go down for groceries, that's the only time I go. I like to make life easy, don't like to make life hard. I said, wash my chickens out running in the yard. I said, sitting on my front porch, relaxing in my chair. Hear them chickens clucking, yeah, they're scratching here and there. They're pecking bugs, they're pecking seeds, they're happy as can be. They're a happy group, my little chicken family. They braid around the house all day just doing that chicken dance. Well, some they like to strut up, some they like to prance. They bob their heads back and forth with a keep watch fly. There's a fat bug on the ground, but there's a hawk up in the sky. I said, sitting on my front porch, relaxing in my chair. Hear them chickens clucking, yeah, they're scratching here and there. They're picking bugs, they're picking seeds, they're happy as can be. They're a happy group, my little chicken family. seats are heavy as can be. They're happy crew, my little ticket family.
Today's show was written and produced by me, Katie Stone, with help from all the kids on the Kids Crew. Live engineering was provided by Andres Martinez and post-production by Marcy Cravonen. Follow the Children's Hour on social media. We're at TCH Radio. Find our podcast playlist and connect to us at childrenshour.org. Many thanks to the Albuquerque Bernalillo County Library System, including Library Manager Dean Smith, Special Collections Branch Manager Kathy Siegel, and Youth Librarian Services Manager Debbie Hassey. Thank you also to the University of New Mexico Professor Emerita Edie Cherry for teaching us about architecture, and many thanks to our terrific band, the Squash Blossom Boys. Find all their music and more at squashblossomboys.com. The Children's Hour is listener-supported kids public radio produced by the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit dedicated to producing high-quality kids public radio. You can find out more at childrenshour.org. Support is also provided by the County of Bernalillo, New Mexico, bernco.gov, and from the Infinite Gesture Fund at the Albuquerque Community Foundation. Support also provided by the Living Wreath Fund. You can find our podcasts, photos from our shows, our social media feeds, and lots more info at childrenshour.org. Our theme music is written by C.K. Barlow. We'll catch you next time for another edition of the Children's Hour.
Kids Public Radio.
I love the Children's Hour.